Hello, I am Dr. Randall Bell, and welcome back to Core IQ, where we talk about the things we all need to know: time management, goal setting, negotiation, all those kinds of things. I'm here with one of my favorite people, Danny Ray. Danny, welcome.
Thank you. Thanks for having me.
Yeah, absolutely. So we're going to talk about success and achievement, because this is a topic that affects all of us. In your volunteer work with Christian Ministries, mine with the prisons, and everything in between, top executives. We have success, we have setbacks, and we want to have a discussion to kind of get this all in perspective.
Right.
Yeah. So we have our graphic, and we have kind of a red trend line, and we have ups and downs. What does this all kind of mean to you?
Yeah, I think sometimes people are looking for success as this moment in time, and we're like, if I make X amount of money, I'll be successful.
Yeah.
If I achieve X, instead of looking at there's that journey that's also successful, how you get there, how you attain those things,
right,
who you become in that process. And so I think this just helps us to look at success as this journey over time, and there's going to be these ups and downs. And so you might have a failure here, but this doesn't define who you are. I've had plenty of failures.
No, wait a minute. You've never had a failure.
I wish
I haven't seen. What does that look like?
Oh, wow. There's a lot of them. I'll share this one with you. I did underwater escapes, a lot of several different escapes for a while, but I did Houdini's milk can escape, which I understand you own one of his original milk cans.
I'm a Houdini collector.
Yeah, that's crazy. Yeah.
Well, so you actually did it in real life?
I've done it hundreds of times.
Really?
And I was in New York doing it, and I have one guy, not my wife, that I trust with my life. Literally, she tried to kill me one time.
This is a real danger thing.
No, it is extremely dangerous. Anytime you're getting underwater, there is always a danger to that. And so I was in New York performing. I went underwater, and I have multiple sets of handcuffs I needed to get out of.
Were they real or were they gaffed?
Yeah, no, they're real handcuffs.
You're doing it legit.
Yeah,
okay.
And so I'm underwater, and I realize I haven't got out of the first handcuff, and it's been over a minute. I'm like,
You're holding your breath for a minute?
I think the longest I went was like 3:41.
Oh my gosh.
It's not what I recommend. And that I was in real danger during that. I got out in 3:41. Normally I'm in there for maybe a minute and 45, minute and 50 seconds.
Wow.
Yeah, but I wasn't out of the first handcuff in a minute. I knew I was in trouble. So the only communication I have with the outside world is to take one of the handcuffs and to tap on it from inside. There's no visual communication. So I'm not out of them. So I'm banging, hoping he hears me. The music's loud. It's a large crowd. I'm literally terrified. And so he's unlocking the locks, lifts up, and I come out of there, and he looks at me, talks me through it. He's like, we could call it right now. I'm like, no, let's do it. I go under a second time, same thing happens. The third time, we end up calling it. We had to throw in the towel. I've done this thing so many times, and it's this moment of failure where I'm like, if I don't do it this time, I literally have to walk off stage, not completing one of the things that they hired me for. And I did. I walked off stage, and it felt horrible. Here's the crazy part, Randy, is people came up to me afterwards, and they're like, I've never seen a piece go like that before, where you act like, you can't get out, and then you talk to us about our failures and how we could overcome. And I'm thinking, no, it really failed. But they heard a different message of, even in the midst of our failures, we could overcome. And I'm like, that's not the message I was trying to share. But it's, even when we're here, there's a message for people when we're at our worst, when we're having difficulty.
Wow. So, and here you are. I'm getting all kinds of, I haven't heard this story before. And I'm getting, not only was this kind of an embarrassing failure in front of a huge crowd in New York City, but here you are talking about it to the cameras to go out and all over the place. So I guess one of the messages I'm getting is don't suppress the failures. I heard something the other day, like there's big lessons in the failures. We got our biggest lessons in the failures. I mean, well, how does that resonate?
I try to, for sure. is I like hearing other people's failures of like, if anybody who's successful, they've had failures, and so finding out like how did they overcome, what were their strategies, and you have all, and this is a separate thing, but you have all kinds of mental health issues that sometimes people, that failure could lead them into depression, and sometimes success. You have this big moment and then you realize you can't live every day at this big moment, and that could, for some people, lead them to depression. And so just really looking at the ups and downs of life is we steadily over time want to keep moving the ball up the field, keep moving forward, have a upward projection of those goals, the success that we have. Yeah.
I love that because, I used to, when we went on family vacations, we'd be in the station wagon. I'd go to the library and check out all the books on Harry Houdini, who I've always been a fan of since I was this big. And I would read about how he would soak himself in ice and he would go underwater for minutes on end. I tried, there's no way. but I had enormous respect for him and enormous respect for you to be able to do that, because the level of training for that is huge. Yeah. And then to go on stage in New York, and you're doing it all legit, because there are let's be honest, there's trick ways of doing this, but you're going for the authentic thing.
Yeah, when I met this guy, his name is Mark Cannon, he's a premier escapologist, and he's like, one of the first things he taught me was a straitjacket. He's like, look, I sell hundreds of Gimmick straitjackets. You're not doing that. If you do that, you're going to learn how to get out of a real straitjacket. Right. Genuinely, like somebody could put you in a straitjacket anywhere in the world, you'll be able to get out. I'll teach you how. Wow. I also have a failure with that, but we're not going to talk about that.
We've talked about enough failure. Okay.
But I really try to look at what are the genuine pieces that I think people could tell the difference between performing something that looks real but's fake and something that's authentic, and the struggles, especially if you know what a straitjacket looks like. A real straitjacket ungimmicked, you will realize there's a performance that goes into the fake straitjacket, where the people who are doing a real straitjacket, you could see there is a real struggle going on. And so I just prefer that.
You like the authentic approach. Yeah, and it comes across when you perform. I've seen you perform. I get it. Wow. So tell me about the journey. So you have this humiliating failure. Yeah. What's going through your head, and what is that journey, the weeks or days after?
Yeah, there's times where, I just want to escape, literally, from the world, from conversations. When failures happen, when I make a mistake on stage, whether I make a mistake personally, but I'm learning to do that in the context of community, people can benefit from our failures as well as our successes. Let's not only, and this is the social media world we live in, it's like, let's only share these kind of epic moments. Right. And so when we look at somebody's life, we're like, man, they have the greatest life on earth. Nobody's sharing the other side, the failures. But I think there's an effective strategy in relationship building and in communicating that happens in both the failures as well as the successes. And really, if you only share the successes, you become unrelatable to a lot of people.
That's fascinating, because the other day I was on Facebook and someone made a post, and they said, you know what? I need to reach out to my friends because I'm addicted to opioids. And they were just sharing their experience, how they got addicted, and they were obviously asking for help. Right. And it was astounding how many people were responding, saying, I'm sorry I don't know about addiction, but I just applaud you. And there's this swell of support. Right. And here's someone putting themselves out there saying, I've got this very serious problem. Yeah. Whereas the natural tendency is a lot of people fail and they don't want to talk about it. They suppress it. Suppress it. And that's what leads to people going to prison, getting into drugs, is when you suppress this stuff. Right. Yeah.
No, and I think when we look at this progression is, we like to talk about these ups over here, right? But the reality is not every moment's up. It's a journey upward, and so that's gonna. You look at the market. Over the course of time, if you invest long term, your money's going to become more valuable, you're going to get more
Sure.
out of it, because over time the market goes up.
But there's going to be ups and downs.
For sure.
Okay, so I appreciate that. Do you have a story about like a peak moment that didn't last, like one of those epic highs?
Yeah, I feel like I get those on a regular basis in what I do, which I'm thankful for. But even the Magic Castle that you saw me at a few months ago, it's just such a full circle for me, of that reminder that this is a place that I know they didn't reject me, but I wasn't ready for the capacity, the level that they're looking for.
Right.
And then I had to work towards that. And now I'm a part of a very small percentage of people that are able to be in there. Short story on that is, with my mom, she's like, like how, like where would you say you are, like in Magicians of the World? I'm like, I don't know, Mom, but performing at the Magic Castle, maybe like in the top 5%, right?
Top one.
Right?
Mom.
But that puts you like
Gotta let you know.
in with thousands, right?
Yeah.
And then we're at some family gathering, and people are coming up, Danny, you're number 5 in the world now? I was like, Mom, that's totally different. 5% versus number 5.
Yeah. Well, I'm sure your mom's wonderful, but I would say it's more, I know the landscape of that whole thing, which I am a fan. I'm not a performer. I'm just a fan. But it's top 1%. Yeah. And then those that make it into the Magic Castle are the top percent, but those who make it in the close-up room are definitely top 1%.
Yeah,
and I've seen lots of performers, and then you were like the best of the best. So you nailed that. You didn't let these failures, hold you back.
Right. But even at the castle, there's times where I'm like, man, the show wasn't as great as I wanted it to be. So each thing I'm trying to, recreate and rethink, and not just go off past success and go, well, it went great yesterday, it'll go great today. It's like, nope, I need to make sure that I'm on my peak game and thinking through all the things we're talking about with Core IQ. I try to live those out daily,
right,
so that I'm not just going off of yesterday's success, but making sure that I'm working towards success today.
Yeah, your journey's been very interesting to me, because I know a little bit about how much effort and skill and talent it takes to go from these things to reaching, what you've reached. You want to learn more about Danny Ray, go to DannyRay.tv. I've seen your website, totally cool. Yeah. And then you've written a book too.
Yeah, the book is called Magnificent Mark. It's all about how do you live remarkably? How do you take these things that we're talking about and implement those into your life in a daily way? I initially wrote it for teenagers. I've worked with students my whole adult life, and a lot of them coming up like, how do we live different? How do we live on purpose? How do we live intentionally? How do we set these goals? And so I wrote this book with them in mind, but I've had numerous parents and leaders read it and go, you know what, this is exactly what I need. Yeah. Thinking that they're reading it for somebody else. So that's been a blessing to kind of hear their stories that way.
Yeah, and it's a blessing for them. And I've seen the videos of you performing in front of huge crowds of kids, young people. And that's a tough crowd. I mean, the Magic Castle crowd's tough, but I can't imagine a tougher crowd than a bunch of teenagers, frankly.
Yeah.
Keeping them entertained. But you nail that. Yeah. I mean, they go crazy. So, I mean, this isn't just kind of textbook theory. That's kind of what I like to do, is read books and come up with a theory. But in terms of bringing it alive, you perform, you do it, you deliver. So, thanks for coming on. Anything else you want to kind of say about achievement versus success and what this whole journey kind of looks like?
I would just challenge you, wherever you are in this season of life, is don't let this define you. Don't let this define you. Let the journey define who you are. Keep moving forward. Keep going after the things that are on your heart, that you're dreaming about, and set goals that we've talked about earlier, and really be the person that you're designed to be.
Thanks for watching Core IQ. Thanks for being here, Danny.
Thank you.
And thanks for watching. Be sure to like it, share it, let everybody know. Let's elevate Core IQ, because we're all in this together. See you next time.